Hello everyone, my name is Adam and I'm the founder of Hortons. We were one of the UK's very first brokerages for self-employed estate agents, so one of the early pioneers in the space, and we have gone on to become one of the industry's most respected brands, not through scale, but through quality of our agents, our team and our brand. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what it means to be a Hortons partner, how our partnership is structured, the support you receive, the infrastructure we provide, and also the type of agents that tend to join us. It's going to be a very detailed overview, just making sure that you have got all the information you need to make an informed decision about which brokerage is right for you if you're considering going self-employed. So I'm going to pull up my screen and we'll get straight into it. So the agenda here. We're going to go through 4 different sections. The first one is the introduction. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our manifesto and our story as a business. Section 2 is about our infrastructure. So exactly how it works, what we provide, the technology, branding, our head office support, our community of agents, compliance, how our territories work. Section 3 is about our finances, so our financial model, your potential earnings, additional revenue streams, such as from lettings or additional commission streams, a path to £100,000 income, and crucially, funding your transition to a self-employed agent. And then the final section, section 4, is just about becoming a partner. So who is a Hortons partner? What type of agents are we looking for? The reality of what it means to be a partner, the steps that it takes to become a partner and our onboarding process, a little bit on the administration, and the very next steps if you watch this and you're interested in exploring the idea of joining Hortons. So plenty to get into, but like I said, this video is intended to make sure you've got all the information you need. If becoming a self-employed partner is a really serious consideration for you, I'd recommend watching from start to finish to make sure that you have the complete overview. But in the description, we're also going to timestamp each section. So if there's anything you need to recap on, that's the best place to find it. So our story. Now, this is a really important aspect to understanding who we are as a business and how kind of the original idea for an estate agency brokerage came about. Now, I started in estate agency in 2010 and I fell in love with it really quickly. I think I just enjoyed the pace of it and I enjoyed working with clients on a really important stage of their life, whether it's buying their first property or helping a family move. But as quickly as I found my love for it, I also spotted the major pitfalls of the traditional estate agency model. And one of the most kind of common reasons that a client's experience with an estate agent would become negative is just a lack of accountability throughout the process. So a valuer sitting down with the client in the living room promising one thing is then reliant on multiple other people, often people that the client's never met, to deliver the continuity of service. And if that doesn't happen, then a client feels like they don't know who's in the driving seat, who they can rely on, and the person that they brought into initially is no longer there. A common story for any traditional estate agents. But it just meant, for me, the solution felt pretty clear. I thought this could be transformed if clients just had a single point of accountability. So that's what I set out to do. Here I am, age 20, fairly fresh-faced, creating with my first business a single point of accountability estate agency service, a personal agent service. So it took off really quite quickly and we did really, really well in our immediate local market. But I made one mistake in that business, which was combining the single point of contact personal agent service with a fixed fee model. Now, at the time when I launched this around 2013, Purple Bricks were just about to launch. eMove had a lot of momentum and there were other online players like Estates Direct and various others that were creating a lot of noise, and it felt like the traditional high street model was under attack, not through service, but through low cost fixed fee estate agency. So my thought at the time was, let's combine the two, a better service and try and compete with them with this fixed fee model. But that was ultimately the downfall of it. we realized that to scale, we obviously needed to increase the volume of transactions a lot, but that was impossible to do whilst also maintaining the really high quality service and the personal agent service that we set out to deliver. But throughout that whole experience, the takeaway from it was very, very clear. It's that people loved the single point of contact service. They liked having the same person from start to finish, and that's that was the main driving factor for people choosing to instruct us at the time. With that insight is what led us on to creating Hortons as it is now. So creating a platform for other agents to join us, go self-employed in the process, but give them all of the tools so agents can go and offer that single point of contact service for their clients. We just wanted to make that as simple and easy as possible for agents to do, and with a more traditional fee structure. So there is no loser in this situation. The client is paying the same sort of fees that they would through the high street, but they're getting a better quality service with more continuity. And that's what Hortons has grown into and has been the backbone of our success so far. So now the model has matured and we're growing all over the country, becoming a very respected, well-known name in the industry. But we've been very purposeful in how we've expanded and the type of agents that have joined the business. And that's because we've been values-led in our approach. So I want to talk you through our manifesto, which is essentially our mission, vision, and values for the business. So our mission: to help everyone find where they feel at home. Now, for buyers and sellers, this is pretty obvious. We are there to help them get from A to B, to find a property that they love and want to call home. But it also applies for our agents. Being a Hortons agent, I think, is being a part of something that they feel a sense of belonging to, that they feel like they're alongside like-minded people, and they're in the right place, which is ultimately what home means. It's more than just the bricks and mortar. Longer term, our vision is to have a trusted Hortons agent in every community. Now, as a business, we're very comfortable with the fact that we don't want to rush that process. We don't want to stray away from the values-led approach, but long term, that is our ambition, to have full national coverage with every community having a Hortons agent that can help them get on the move. On our values: integrity, creativity, entrepreneurship, and caring. Now, a lot of businesses talk about values, but very few actually live those values. But the reason that we've expanded in the way we have is because we are always looking for high integrity agents, ones that have a natural creativity, both in terms of a creative approach to their work, but also a creative approach to problem solving and thinking outside the box. And entrepreneurship, because we are a community of entrepreneurs. Every agent has taken a risk, left the comfort of their high street jobs to pursue more, to pursue something different. So you have to have a kind of natural entrepreneurial instinct to take that risk. And caring, because we are looking for agents that truly care about what they do and about their clients. They want to hone their craft as an agent and become the best known for what they do in their area, and you really, really have to care deeply about that in order to stand out against your competition and build a reputation long term. So that's our vision, mission, and values, but that can all be summarized in our principles. Now, these are the principles that we live by day to day, and how we act as a business and as agents individually. You'll get a copy of this document when you have more progressed conversations with us about joining Hortons. So I'm not going to read them out individually at the moment, but just to give you a couple of examples, we've got progress over perfection. One of the kind of core aspects to how we've grown as a business is that, yes, we should strive for perfection and do our best work, but we don't let it hold us back. We iterate and we learn from mistakes, but ultimately we keep pushing forward and make progress as quickly as possible. Or we've got radical transparency. Now, this applies to how we talk and engage with our colleagues, but it's also about giving straight advice to clients, something that is often lost, especially in the corporate world, with listing targets and all of that stuff. We prioritize and make a point of the fact that we tell people and our clients the truth, even if it means that in the short term it's not necessarily going to result in a listing. We just prioritize the fact that obviously clients need to be able to work with an agent they trust and get straight advice. Simple things like that we just prioritize over everything else. So now we're going to look at exactly what Hortons is and how the opportunity and partnership works. So in its most simple form, estate agents join Hortons as a self-employed licensee, and we provide all the tools that you need to carry out the job as an agent, and you get access to an exclusive territory. Our agents, that we call partners, provide the end-to-end service for clients, and then we pay 75% of the commission that they generate to that agent. We want to make going self-employed as an agent as simple as possible, obviously with the backing of Hortons, but ultimately to provide essentially a business in a box for agents to be able to sign up with us and operate as quickly and as easily as possible. There aren't any major startup costs, but you go through an onboarding process, which we'll come on to in detail, and then you'll be up and running with everything you need to go out there and start finding clients and selling properties. So to expand on this idea of us providing a business in a box, here's an overview of everything that we provide. So we've got the high earning financial model, which is 75% commission to the partner. Everyone gets access to the exclusive territory. We provide access to all of the major portals, Rightmove, Zoopla, On the Market, Prime Location, all the ones you would expect. We've got an industry-leading tech stack. We'll break down all the technology in a minute, but we've got some incredible technology that make life as an agent as easy as possible. We've got a fully centralised compliance system, so removing a lot of the headache for agents to operate day to day. We've got a variety of head office level support, whether that's helping qualify incoming inquiries, deal with queries or problems. We've got a strong brand with marketing assets to help agents utilize to build their brands in their local area. We've now got a national partner community of talented agents that you can lean into the experience of and ask for advice and sharing of great ideas. We offer the ability to add an additional lettings income stream. We've got a recruitment and revenue share commission scheme, and a structured onboarding that gives you a blueprint to launching as easily and as quickly as possible and getting to your first listings and first sales and build commission ultimately as quickly as possible. So let's get into their technology. So the core pieces of software that we use day to day are Street, which is our CRM. Now, if you haven't come across Street before, I'd recommend heading to street.co.uk and getting a little bit of insight into what their platform's like. But that offers the full end-to-end experience for agents to be able to manage listings, viewings, feedback, offer, progression, everything that you would expect, but in a really user-friendly, intuitive way. So yeah, a really, really great piece of software. Alongside that, owned by the same company, is Spectre, which is our prospecting tool. So you can automate your prospecting activities through direct mail, but it's also a great tool for data, whether that's looking for data on previously withdrawn listings, how many weeks property's been on the market, or running highly detailed property reports, amongst various other things. And the Spectre training will be a significant part of the onboarding process as well, but a very powerful piece of software. We offer proposal software, so this replaces the traditional valuation letter and allows you to send a follow-up in a much more kind of media-rich and engaging way, and it's another way for help you stand out against your competition. We use Contini for client onboarding and compliance. So when you onboard a client, it simplifies the steps down to just sending an invitation to them, and then they log into an environment where they can complete their AML checks, sign the contract, provide material information, but it just makes it very easy and slick for the client experience. We provide everyone with a Canva Pro account, which has a range of branded marketing assets that you can use for both digital and print. Everyone has a Google Workspace account, which will obviously provide access to your Hortons email address, but also document storage and their range of different apps, which are office-based apps such as slides and docs, sheets, etc. So obviously all vital tools day to day. We give everyone access to our Hortons Slack account. So in there, you'll have access to our kind of partner channels, which is a kind of group chat with all of the partners for group discussions. You'll have your own personal support channels where you have the interaction with head office. So whilst you're out on the road, you'll feel fully connected and part of the community and part of the conversation. And then we've got our Hortons Hub, which is your admin hub for kind of any day-to-day requirements, such as raising your invoices, tracking your compliance. And there's also some useful tools in there to track your overall business performance as well. And then finally, and probably the most important aspect of this, is our AI tools, which is constantly developing and will require its own webinar really to cover it properly. But that's something that we are at the forefront of as a business in the industry. So branding. Now, I think our brand is one of the most powerful assets behind each one of our partners. When a Hortons agent joins us throughout the onboarding process and beyond, we'll support agents in building their personal brand in their local area. So agents become known as the go-to local expert. But our ethos as a business is to have a really strong consumer-facing brand that has real continuity around all the territories that we operate in. This allows cross-pollination of brand awareness between the areas that you operate in if people are traveling between different territories. But it also adds real clout and credibility when a new agent launches. Now, we are obviously growing nationally, but we're not a nationally known brand. We will be one day. But when a new agent launches in a completely new area, the strength of the brand means that as people build awareness with it, they can go from a cold start to real brand awareness in that area as quickly as possible. Doing that with a brand that's already established, that they can see that is more than just that individual, accelerates that process. We've also tried to create a brand that's highly compelling. So not just a brand awareness from the sense of having the most boards up, but creating a brand that connects with people on an emotional level, which is what you see through great brands in other industries, but very rarely see in the estate agency industry. So now we'll move on to our head office support. So each of our partners is a business owner, but they're never alone. We've designed our head office infrastructure to make sure that they are supported day to day to make life as an agent as easy as possible. And there are multiple ways that our head office team is there to support you on a day-to-day basis. Now, the first and probably most common way will be helping qualify incoming inquiries. So whenever a buyer rings about a property listing, maybe they've seen it through Rightmove or through our website, all the incoming phone calls will go to our head office. And at that point, the applicant is qualified. So obviously taking their personal details, buying position, availability if they're calling about a viewing. So at that point, they can assign that new incoming lead out to an agent, and they've got as much information as possible to make dealing with that inquiry as quick and as simple as possible. We can also set expectations with applicants who call as well. So if you've got back-to-back meetings or you're unavailable, we can see that in your diary and make sure that the appropriate expectation is set about when they'll hear back from you, which reduces chasing and obviously just helps you with managing incoming inquiries, because you'll know that everyone we've spoken to will have been dealt with in the appropriate manner. Without that, if people are coming to you directly on your mobile, it can become overwhelming if you're back to back in the diary and you come out to 50 missed calls and loads of messages, whereas this kind of gives it a little bit of a buffer and helps organize everything, and ultimately just improves the experience for any applicants that are calling. And we do the same for valuations as well. We'll take as much information as possible, make sure that you understand the business model and you're the local expert before we assign that information to you. Obviously, as your brand grows in your local area or more people become to know you, you'll end up getting a lot of people coming to you directly or through social media. But on that basis, you can deal with them as you see fit. But when they come to the office, we can make sure that they are qualified in the most thorough way possible, and know when to hear back from you. There's other ways we can support day to day as well. So it could be anything from dealing with software queries if you're struggling with a process, invoicing requirements, really any day-to-day query about the day-to-day running of your business. You have someone there that is able to help. And also, I think something that can't be underestimated is having continuity in those relationships with the people that you're working with at head office level as well. It's them getting to know you as an agent, building the relationship, but understanding how you work so they can understand how best to support you. This idea of never being on your own also extends into our wider agent community and how that can support you as well. So something we've been very clear on from day one at Hortons is having exclusive territories. I think this is important for people being able to build continuity as in their local brand as the go-to agent, so you don't have any competing agents diluting that message. But it also creates the right structure behind the scenes in the business where every agent's success, directly or indirectly, impacts each other. Everyone wants everyone to win. There's no competition between agents. There's no rivalry. Everyone just wants everyone else to win because as a collective, that's the best for everyone involved. The impact of that means that good practice, ideas, advice, support is shared freely and openly. As soon as you become a Hortons partner and you're part of that community, everyone that you'll talk to will want you to win and be a part of that and give you access to that support network, which is absolutely vital in the early stages. But as you grow, you'll experience new challenges around capacity and how you keep momentum. And there'll be people in there that have been there and done it and be able to share their advice. But also, those agents you're taking advice from will know that you coming into the business as an experienced, high quality agent will have things that you can share with them as well. And I think it's that real understanding, a completely flat hierarchy that gives people real respect and wanting to kind of engage and support each other as much as possible. So now we're going to get on to the really exciting stuff, which is compliance. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, we have one centralized process for all of our compliance requirements. So we have one company-wide supervision with HMRC, not requiring each individual agent to have their own. And the process is really quite simple. So for AML specifically, when you have a new instruction, you send them the invitation to Catini, the onboarding platform I mentioned earlier. The client then submits all of their information and completes a biometric AML check through the portal. That then gets sent to our head office compliance team, which is then reviewed. A risk assessment is carried out. They carry out various processes to ensure that the property meets the compliance requirements. If there is any enhanced due diligence that is required, you'll be part of that process in collecting additional documentation. But assuming not, and it's all signed off, then the next step from an agent's perspective is that they receive a notification to say it's past compliance. And at that point, they'll be ready to list the property and take it from there. So it really takes you out of the nitty-gritty of the process, kind of removing that headache, but also removing any doubts about whether you're on the right side of the compliance or not. We've got specialists there that are able to handle that all on your behalf. Now, the process is similar for buyers too. So the requirement is that an AML check is carried out before a memorandum of sale is sent, and there is a similar buyer portal where the buyer can complete their biometric AML checks, and they also have the ability to upload their proof of funds. We've got a couple of different ways which for how we collect proof of funds, whether we use the Catini buyer checks or specific offer forms for buyers. That's something we discuss in the onboarding process, but utilizing Catini can put it all into one process and just make that as easy as possible. Now, for both buyers and sellers, we do have AML admin charges. For sellers, we charge £50 per property, and for buyers, it's £40 per property. That can be split between a couple if they're buying, not per person. So relatively low cost, but it's also a real test from a buyer's perspective, particularly how committed they are about how quickly they get this done and whether there's any friction with paying those initial fees. So it's a good test the water before the process starts. And it also, like I say, means that any doubts around the process are taken away from you as the agent, so you can carry on with what's most important and getting deals done and focusing on the relationships with your buyers and your sellers. So territories. Now, each partner gets an exclusive territory. It's an area where you get the right to build your brand, prospect, and receive inbound leads for that area. Importantly, though, it doesn't limit where you can list or sell. It defines where you can focus on building your brand and where opportunities are directed back to you. Without clear territories, brokerages become a bit of a free-for-all. And we've had other agents mention from other brokerages that they, without exclusive territories, have agents within the same brokerage competing with each other, which is obviously something that we want to avoid. As I mentioned before, that is critical for having a strong and supportive community of agents. Now, that all said, we do recognize there are plenty of opportunities that come through personal relationships. It could be family, past clients, your close professional contacts. So partners do have the ability to work beyond their territory. But we just recommend that agents kind of exercise courtesy with their neighboring territories. If you're going to be selling in another agent's area, it's letting them know where that lead has come from and giving them a heads up about the listing as well. There's often some sort of referral commission that's arranged between agents as well. If the lead comes in that is then too far away for that agent to operate themselves, they can pass it on to another agent if they prefer and receive a commission for doing so. Having this flexibility kind of removes the friction that you would see in traditional franchise models where a lead has to be reassigned to a territory regardless of where it's come from. Because in those situations, if there's a specific personal reason that someone wants to use an agent and they're forced to pass them away, then obviously that we could be losing business as a result. So it's important to have that little bit of flexibility there. So territories are agreed during the kind of process of onboarding in the kind of initial discussions that we have with an agent. Generally, they focus on an area that the agent kind of knows really well, often because they've worked there before, or ideally where they live. And the size of them varies a little bit dependent on kind of how densely populated it is. But when we're looking at that, we take the agent's preferences in terms of the areas they want to operate in, and then we do a bit of number crunching to look at kind of the total transaction volume to make sure that the territories aren't too small and equally aren't too big, because you don't want to be spreading yourself too thin. So it's a bit of a negotiation to find out what would work best for what we know suits agents on the whole and what that individual agent is looking for as well. So let's get on to the finances now. As you can see, the model is very, very simple. 75% to the partner, 25% to Hortons. That covers the cost of all the infrastructure that we provide. Currently, there is no monthly management fee, but we will be introducing a £200 per month management fee, probably towards the later part of this year. But any agents that join us before that will not be charged at any time in the future. We are just finalising exactly what that looks like. But like I say, if you sign up sooner rather than later, then you will continue to get the no monthly management charge as well. There's nothing else in terms of charges to worry about at all. Nothing hidden away. We've purposefully kept it very, very simple. So here's what that commission rate looks like in practice. So just to explain the graph, obviously down the left-hand side, you've got different levels of average fees. And along the top, you can see the number of transactions. So, for example, selling 2 per month with an average fee of £2,500. Very realistic sort of figures to aim for, with areas with kind of medium to lower average values would result in a £45,000 commission per annum. And if we look into some slightly higher volume, say it's 6 completions a month with an average fee of £3,000, again, a very realistic sort of figures to aim for, it will result in 162,000. And then if you look at having the 4 to 6 per month transaction volume, but in areas with higher average values, and you're getting closer to £5,000 or £7,500 in average fees, as you can see, the figures jump up fairly dramatically. The core thing here is that, for the vast majority of agents, even doing a very kind of realistic level of transactions in your first year or two of 2 to 4 completions, which unless you feel like you can get to that level fairly quickly, self-employment is probably not the best option for you. But if you can confidently go out there and find that level of business, most people, it means they'll be earning more under this model than they would in their traditional employed positions. So in addition to the 75%, we also have a range of additional revenue streams. The first is our recruitment model, which allows you to earn a commission of the revenue that another agent brings in if you've recruited that agent and brought them into the business. Now, we've designed this specifically to just reward agents for making that introduction. What we don't want it to be is kind of a multi-level recruitment scheme where recruitment can be the priority. We want to be really clear in saying that our objective is selling properties, delivering estate agency services to our clients, and being known for being the best at what we do. With that in mind, we do have some eligibility requirements. The first is that no agents need to be with us for at least 12 months before they can earn the 5% revenue commission, or they build £100,000 in income. And the new partner that they're introducing must clear £50,000 first before any commission is paid. That's to make sure that the agents recruiting can demonstrate success themselves, and for the new partners to show that they can make it work and they are very likely to be with us for the long term as well. Like I said, this is to be making sure that we keep the focus purely on quality rather than agents spending too much time on recruitment and trying to use that income to replace the act of actually selling houses. Just to give you some examples, if you recruited 5 partners to join the business, each doing around £125,000 a year in income, again, a very realistic level, it would produce about £31,000 in passive kind of reoccurring income to supplement your estate agency fees. So it can add up really, really quickly. We've also got referral income, so from solicitors, mortgage brokers. It's completely up to you how you structure those relationships, but you receive 100% of that income. It's not subject to the 25% commission from Hortons. And then finally, we've got lettings. So lettings, I've kept this one separate because it is a little bit different to how we operate on the sales side of things. So partners can offer letting services through their own limited company. So you become responsible for all of the compliance requirements from that. But in return, you receive 100% of the lettings income you generate. So that's both from setup fees and the monthly management if you choose to do management services. The arrangement with Hortons is that we charge currently a £200 fee per listing in the lettings properties, which obviously partners cover through their setup fees, and that also covers the cost of accessing the portals as well as getting a to-let board outside. But this allows you to build reoccurring income and kind of a standalone business with value that you receive the ongoing benefit for. The average rent is currently £1,381 per month. So even with just a 10% management fee, if you build up 20 units under management, there would be another £33,000 in reoccurring revenue. Now, if you combine that with what I've just mentioned as an example for the recruitment scheme, it could be generating an extra £60,000 worth of income to supplement your income before even selling any houses. So again, very substantial, really worthwhile income streams to keep in mind. So now I want to talk you through a very realistic plan to getting to £100,000 personal income. But for this, I'm going to put recruitment and letting income to one side. So this is just off transactions to be able to just illustrate how realistic this actually is. So the first thing to mention really is that for most people in an employed position, getting to £100,000 income is not a realistic goal in an employed role, even for the best performers. But what we're doing here is restructuring the how the value is distributed, where previously traditional agents would keep the agency would keep the lion's share of the commission. You're utilizing the same skill set, doing a very realistic number of transactions, but retaining more of the value creates this dramatically different outcome. So here's how it's illustrated. If we look at an average property sale price of 350,000 with an average fee of 1.25%, that means the average earned income per transaction is £4,375. So you as the partner would retain 75% of that, which would be £3,281 per transaction. And then we've made a few assumptions. If we assume that 50% of those transactions generate a conveyancing referral, which we put on £200, and you're keeping 100% of that 200. If 25% of them generate a mortgage referral, again, another couple of £100, and maybe just 10% of your transactions have a survey referral, then we can estimate what the total income to you is as an agent, again, using those hopefully very realistic assumptions. So to break that down, it would mean that you'd got the 3,281 per transaction from the sales income. You'd have on average £165 in total referral income, which means your total income per transaction to you personally is £3,446. So to earn £100,000 on that basis, you just need to be doing 29 completed transactions per year, which equates to 2.5 completions per month. So these aren't record-breaking numbers. Having just a very sensible goal for your fee of 1.25%, which is not far off the national average, and I'm working on the basis of this £350,000 price point as well. But obviously we do operate in areas that have got much higher average house prices as well. It just goes to show that what we're talking about here to get to that level is not a pipe dream for agents. It's they can put together a blueprint that they know they're going to achieve that, and they can also achieve that sort of level of transactions within the first year or two of them joining. So yeah, it's a genuinely life-changing opportunity. But obviously what gets very interesting is when you're in years 2 to 4, really feeling the momentum of your brand, and doing consistently higher than that. Obviously, we'll refer back to the table that I showed you earlier. If you're getting up to 6 or to 8 completions per month with these sort of very kind of sensible average incomes per transaction, it can obviously be dramatically more than this. So yeah, very exciting aspect to the business. And now we move on to funding. So this is a hurdle for most agents that join the business. You are leaving the comfort of a regular employed salary, knowing that it's going to be 4 to 8 months on average before your first completions will come up. And that in itself can seem like a huge hurdle to overcome. And it might put for many people, they might want to go self-employed, but that concept can suddenly put the brakes on. However, I want to expel a little bit of a myth, because I think most people will look at other self-employed agents thinking they've got this pot of money that they've got there to see them through those first 4 to 8 months. And if they don't have it, there's no other possibilities. When in reality, actually, it's very few agents have the cash set aside, and they have to be much more creative in their approach to funding the transition. The best way to think about this, I think, is do a little assessment of your monthly expenses. There's going to be compromises in those first 4 to 8 months, because it is tough. Look at what you can cut out in terms of your expenses during that period, and then look at what your kind of minimum requirement is per month, and then times that by perhaps worst case scenario of 8 months, which is what we see in most cases. Obviously, that will then give you the total capital requirement. Now, on its own, that is going to seem like a lot of money. But what then most agents do is break that down into different funding routes. The first of those is savings. So look at, you might not have the full amount, but how much can you contribute to that total capital requirement for your personal savings? The next one, and again, often overlooked, but extremely common, is friends, family, and fools. Obviously a bit tongue-in-cheek there, but actually nationally, one of the most common ways for startup business funding is through friends, family, and close contacts, effectively. People that you know, you've got a relationship with, that might be prepared to back you. Most people shy away from having those conversations, but actually if there are people in your life, and it's a privileged position to be in, but if you know people that might have the resources to help you, when you are able to offer, or if they're able to offer some type of loan or investment into you, and you're doing it on something that is relatively low risk, because this is your profession. You're not going to start a wild technology business or something that's unproven. You are taking your skill set, your job that you know you're tried and tested, and therefore making it as low risk as possible. If you can present a good business case or a good return for them, then, like we said, this is actually one of the most common ways that people are able to get a business off the ground. So have a think about whether that's a possibility for you. Again, that might cover the remaining balance that you need, or it might just be a smaller chunk of it. But again, that if it is an option, can just bring down the amount left to cover. The next is through startup loans. So this was actually how I funded Hortons initially, which was getting a specific loan for startup businesses with flexible payment terms. And we've set up an exclusive relationship with a firm called Biz Britain. They're one of the biggest providers of startup loan capital for businesses in the country, and they understand our business model. They know it's tried and tested, and we've had plenty of agents now go through the process with them and secure funding. Again, reducing the risk because they know the business model, making the process really, really slick, and it gives them a huge amount of flexibility in terms of when they draw down funds, how they repay it, payment holidays, and a fixed interest rate as well, which makes it very competitive. You also see a lot of people remortgaging, and obviously because of the fact that if you've got equity in the house, can you remortgage, release some of that equity, and it actually make a very low impact on in terms of the amount that you're repaying, and the years that you'll have to repay that for. It makes it quite an accessible route for people if you have it available to you. And then the final part of this is part-time work. We're seeing more and more agents now, because of the flexibility of remote-based roles, maybe do 1 or 2 days a week to cover the gap, if there is one, with their income over that period. It's not ideal because you want to be fully focused on your business, but I think the mindset that a lot of agents have, if they know they truly want to be a self-employed agent, just trying to think outside the box, do what's necessary to make that kind of dream a reality, and again, recognizing the fact that it is a short-term thing. So across all of those different funding routes, if you try to rely on kind of any one funding route to cover the whole amount that you need to go self-employed, it can seem a bit overwhelming. But if you break them down into those different categories, no one individual funding route becomes too big to overcome, and it can just make it achievable, rather than when most people go down this route, kind of falling at that first hurdle of the realization they don't have the cash ready to go. Just remember that isn't the way that most people go about funding it. So that covers pretty much everything that's involved with the Hortons partnership. So now I want to talk a little bit about the realities of being a partner. And we're going to start with, who is a Hortons partner? The most common trait shared by Hortons partners isn't the kind of the background or the years served in the industry, it's values. Obviously, this is something we've come back to time and time again, but it's things like having high integrity, being highly motivated, and having just a real genuine belief in where the industry's heading and what we're building. Our partners are very high agency people. They are entrepreneurial, they're proactive, and they take real ownership of their results. The type of people that don't wait for opportunity, they go out and create it for themselves. They're motivated by progress, their independence, and just the ability to have autonomy and create their own future. And I think being clear about this is really important because we're not trying to attract everyone. We're trying to be really clear about what we're building and the type of people that we want involved in Hortons. Now, if you got to this point and it sounds exciting and you are keen to explore the next steps, the next few slides are going to explain what's involved with actually becoming a partner. But equally, we totally respect that other agents may be looking at this thinking it's not quite right for me, or it seems too intimidating or too scary, and that is totally fine. And it probably just means the self-employed journey is not quite right for you. But if you're excited, like I say, about the prospect of going down this route, we'd like to hear from you. So let's go through what that actually looks like and what's involved in the onboarding. After this video, if you're really interested in exploring things further, the very first thing to do is schedule an initial call where we'll have a conversation, get to know each other, understand where you're at in your career, and just see if there's a natural synergy there and whether it could be right for you, basically. After that, we have a meeting where we get into everything in a lot more detail, clear up all your questions, and really get to understand you as an agent. So you can understand if we're going to be the right partners for you, but also we can understand if you're going to be the right type of agent for Hortons as well. After that, if all is well and there is clear agreement that we want to move things forward, you'll be issued a territory proposal. This is based on the feedback and discussions we would have had about an appropriate territory, and after we've completed our analysis of the area. Once that's accepted, and if we have an agreed territory, that's when the onboarding process starts. So the onboarding process. Now, in your territory proposal, you'll be able to select an appropriate date for the first day of the onboarding, which is our content day. So this happens near our head office in Leicestershire. And it's where you come into a studio and we shoot your launch content, which will be photography, meet the agent video, and various other video assets that you can use for launching and building your personal brand. On that day, you'll also get access to all of the software that you're going to need day to day that you'll also need access to during the rest of the onboarding process. The rest of the onboarding process is done remotely, and it's a mixture of videos, guides, tasks, various things that you access through our Hortons Academy, working through 3 subsequent stages of onboarding. The first is the sales and listing process, which breaks down the full process from taking an instruction to getting it on the market to agreeing a sale, right through to completion and raising your invoice. We then focus fully on prospecting, how to go out there and find your first listings through proactive outreach and going out and finding those clients. Before then moving to branding and marketing, which is all about attracting the right type of business to you. And then finally ending on systems and processes, everything behind the scenes that makes every process run smoothly and efficiently. And by that point, you'll have access to everything that you need to go out there and start doing the job. And be able to launch and get cracking. We've purposely designed it so the content that you're required to work through on those subsequent stages doesn't take up a full day. It's been designed so that you'll be able to work through the content and then go out and start taking action on building your business. It's also done to prevent anyone being overwhelmed with a lot of information that you'll have to take on board. And also, all of the content will be available to you after the onboarding process. So if you ever need a refresher, you can log back in and find the appropriate videos. All of this will be accompanied by various video calls, webinars, and content with other members of our team. So you'll still feel engaged with the team, and you'll feel fully supported if you need any clarification on anything as well. And most of the time, you'll be going through the process with other new agents as well. So there'll be a lot of communication and support between agents that are going through or on the same cohort together. The whole idea behind onboarding, though, is just to make sure that come day one, you might have a completely clear diary and no clients, but you have a really clear plan of action about exactly what you're going to do to get your business off the ground. It removes the doubt, the uncertainty, the worry. By the end of that week, you will be ready to go and know exactly what you need to do. And finally, a little bit on the administration, things that you should be aware of that you'll need to get sorted during the onboarding process, such as setting up a limited company via Companies House. An accountant could do this for you, or you could do it yourself, but we do require all partners to have their own limited company. This is just a company in place for administration processes. It's not consumer facing in any way. It's just for where we would be paying your commissions. You'll need to get yourself set up with an accountant to make sure that you cover for all of your annual returns. Most agents also opt to get some sort of bookkeeping service from them as well, so you can get monthly reports on how your business is doing. They can also do the limited company as well, if that will make things easier. You'll also need to set up public liability and professional indemnity insurance. We've got a partnership with Gambit Insurance, where they've sourced a bespoke policy for agents in exactly this business model to make it as competitively priced as possible, and we can make that introduction. You'll need an ICO registration, which is about £50 per year, but that's because you're handling client data. You'll then need to join a redress scheme, which is typically the PRS or the Property Ombudsman scheme. We'd probably recommend the PRS because there is an entry-level model that's slightly cheaper. And the final thing to mention around compliance, unlike other brokerages, we don't require any HMRC supervision because that is handled by Hortons centrally. We'll support you throughout all of that process because many of our partners have never set up a limited company, be involved with any of that sort of thing before. If you have, great, but if not, and it all seems a bit daunting, do not worry because we will guide you through every step of the way. And just before we wrap things up, I just wanted to touch a little bit on the reality of a partner. Because if you've gone through this whole process, you're fully set up, you're onboarded and you launch, what does day-to-day look like? Well, in the medium to longer term, one of the key aspects of this is building financial independence. You'll be building a business that is based on a result of your own personal brand and your own connections. You'll have that autonomy and a reputation that will last for your whole career. You'll be needing to wear many hats. You'll be doing valuations 1 minute, viewing, sales progression, thinking about your marketing and your social media. But you can do that all while setting your own hours, deciding where and when you want to work. In the short term, it's extremely hard work getting a business off the ground and building momentum. But we always say to partners, just remember the fact that this is not doing anything that you don't already know. It's using the same skill set in a new environment, but this is your profession, an industry you know inside out. But when you're in those early stages, the difficulty comes through finding your first listings and just getting the ball rolling and building that initial momentum. But agents who push through, who take the risk, who believe in themselves can have a completely life-changing result. So there you have it. Everything you need to know about Hortons. Now, if you're still here and you're ready to push yourself out of your comfort zone, just remember, yes, there is risk. But the exciting thing is knowing that you are about 6 months away from a completely different reality. One of my favorite quotes is, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you join Hortons, the high performance environment, people striving for more, risk takers, working alongside other entrepreneurs will become your new normal. And you'll unlock a different level of potential and enjoyment and satisfaction from your work than you'll ever thought possible. So if you're ready for that and you want to take the next steps, please reach out and let's get the initial phone call scheduled.